Aloha. So, this is part 2 of my Heroines journey. It has been almost 2 years since I shared the first part, and that felt so absolutely cathartic and amazing to be open about my story. And the amount of stuff that I want to share with you guys is I did a brief overview that's about a synopsis of it. And anybody that knows me, I'm very authentic. I actually didn't even know I was going to do this video until 10 minutes ago. I just whipped on this dress and I already have my makeup on. I'm staying home. It's quite windy outside tonight. And I thought, you know what, why not? Let's just do it. I'm going through a lot in my personal life. My father's in the hospital, and there's no greater way that I can honor him, being that I can't be with him right now, than to stand up and share about my life and what has come of it. So this is part 2 of the hero's journey. It feels like a lifetime ago, all the things I shared, because that really, the beginning was so rough and hard and confusing. It was all a byproduct of Rahu in the 12th house in Gemini, which was me trying to find a balance between all duality, searching for God and for, just searching. I was seeking. Rahu is an Indian term. It's like really basically your north node, and it's always hungry and it wants to be fed. And I had it in Gemini, so I was trying to balance wanting to be a DJ and then having these mental breakdowns and realizing I was really sensitive and I was clearing up my childhood conditioning, the ways that I was influenced by my parents, how they were influenced by their lives. And that's the thing, is that they really do the best they can. And I have amazing parents. But that's the bottom line, is our parents love you and give to you as greatly as they were taught. So that's not really the point of my story. If I ever do like a TED Talk, I'll get into more detail about specifically ways in which I overcame things. But what I'm here to do is share with you how incredible life can get when you do not give up. Because boy, oh boy, it got better. So I was very confused. I mean, like really confused. I could not get a grip. And that was right around when I was like 22. I decided, I had gone to community college. I had tried to figure out what kind of degree I wanted. I could not fit myself into a box because we're multidimensional. I believe that they want us to be really cookie cutter. They want you to have one degree so that you will be very easy to control and manipulate. And it's like when you're multidimensional and you're expansive, it's not as easy to have control over beings like that. So, excuse me, I'm actually recovering from a little cold too. So, yes, so I what you got to do is get to the bottom line, okay? So for me, I was like, I want to make people feel good. And I was interested in yoga. So I decided to go to Baja. I had been questioning, should I go to India? Should I go to Baja? And I decided to go to Baja. It was incredible. I ended up getting, I just went there by myself with a hiking bag, and I ended up falling in love with a Mexican boy, went to the yoga training, traveling with him afterwards. That led to a whole series of journeys. But I'm going to be giving you the bulletin points of some of my spiritual awakenings to inspire you to have the courage to follow the beat of your own drum, to get out there no matter, like literally I moved to Baja with like $200. I did have a love interest down there, so that gave me the courage to go, okay? And all of this is going to wrap up together by the time I'm done, and I'm going to try to do it within 33 minutes, so bear with me. So, yeah, I went and I studied yoga, and it was very healing for my psyche. See, my teacher taught me that you're either building your ego slowly over time, or you have to break your ego down. But either way, we're coming into a balance, okay? And this is my coined gift to the world. Like, we are balancing our ego and our spirit, okay? So some people get really boosted up before they've really earned that true sense of self-worth. and they got to kind of shave it down and become more humble, right? And then the other side is like me. I really had no sense of self. I really was scared. I was sensitive, but I was extremely adventurous, very pioneering and brave. Okay, so, or just ignorance is bliss. You know, you don't know anything, you just go for it. So, at the adventure of my life, I started healing my ego. Okay, and I went to Baja and I worked at the Yandara Yoga Institute, or I studied there, and it was incredible. If you ever want to go to a yoga institute, please go there. They are the most amazing people from Canada, and they're wonderful people. And I owe them so much of the goodness that has come since then to them. They were wonderful healers in my life. And on that journey, I met one of my best friends. Her name is Angel, and she started to really crack the code for me when she said, you are creating your reality with your mind. Have you ever heard of Abraham Hicks? Okay. Well, I took what she had told me and started chewing on it. And during the time at Yandara as well, I met a boy named Robin, who was a teacher for transformational breathing, and they introduced me, and Angel introduced me to a book called The Presence Process that has changed my life, because it's like seeing a hypnotherapist, a regressive therapist, and a psychologist, all from the comfort of your own home with your own undivided, devoted practice with yourself. And I'm not going to go into a whole thing about what that's about, but the book, The Presence Process, is life-changing. I was just looking to see if I had it. And I have to try to calm down now because I'm getting really excited. I was so excited. I'm like, it wasn't all hard. I want to tell these people like how amazing it can get, and not in a bragging way, but it's just that the journey, like, you know, my brother, he did actually kill himself, and it's because he didn't make it over this hump that a lot of people battle with, where life gets to them and they just want to give up. So this is really an ode to anyone that is struggling with depression, schizophrenia, bipolar, like all those labels. I went through it, man. I thought I was all of those things, really, and I was emulating the characteristical traits of those things. And I'm not saying I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying if you have those conditions, please, by all means, seek out medical advice. But I digress. So basically, it hit me. She said, you know, you're creating your reality with your thoughts. So I started to really, here's the big one, take accountability for all the thoughts I had ever had in my life. And I looked at how my life was, and I put them together, and they matched my thoughts as far as like my openness and how much was coming towards me and how much was being exchanged, et cetera, et cetera. It's a huge part of self-empowerment to be accountable for yourself. To you know, that's what the 12-step program is. They look at what they've done and they take accountability. That's one of the secret ingredients on the spiritual awakening journey. So my brain just exploded open when I did that. I was like, oh my God. And I started to keep, you know, at first you're scared and you're like worried that you're going to create all, you know, if you say one negative thing. And so I started to work on mastering my mind. And then I started doing the presence process, which is a 10-week commitment, 3 months. You meditate twice a day, every day. I started in 2006 and I've never stopped, really. And it's 2026. Wow, that 20-year anniversary. I cannot even believe that. That is amazing. So yeah, you guys, like, it just gets good when you devote yourself to it, and you also become very timeless when you meditate. I am 43 and I think I look the best that I've ever looked in my whole life. Thank you very much. So I started doing the presence process, and I went back to visit the healer Anya. I hope I did mention her in part 1. She really helped me clear so much of my mother and father, you know, trauma and pain that I was holding from my childhood. And I went back and saw her again, and I had been meditating and I had been learning how to ground my energy. And I was sitting with a group of 5 women. I was totally sober. It was at 12 in the afternoon, and her healing is based off of the Gnostic principles of wisdom, where, you know, we are light bodies and we have different Sephiroids, the Kabbalah wisdom, where there's different centers in the body. And when you line them up properly, you literally have heaven on earth, which is you. You are that. As within, so without. And she had a guided meditation for the last Sephiroth that day. I happened to be able to sit in on her offering, and what happened was absolutely profound. I don't remember the exact details of what she said, but when she said it and my eyes were closed, we had been meditating for almost 20 minutes. All of a sudden, my third eye just opened. My eyes were closed, and all of a sudden I could see the woman and the other woman and the woman and the woman. There was all these women sitting around me, and I could see the outline of their body. I could see the vase across the room. I could see the couch. I could see every fiber, every detail. But it was all in the green matrix grid, you guys. I'm not even kidding. So The Matrix is not a movie. That is a documentary. It's absolutely real. I saw with my third eye. It opened up, and the takeaway from this experience was we really are all connected. I mean, there is no separation, okay? Literally, we are connected by a matrix, a green web of life, okay? The web of life, okay? So this is just like to get you guys motivated to meditate and do your spiritual inner healing work, your shadow work, you're clearing your childhood karma and conditionings. A very, very dear friend of mine once told me that he believed that the first 30 years of your life are not even your own. And it made absolute sense when he said that to me. Okay, if you've lived previous lifetimes, you had a whole lifetime of meeting people and creating karmas. So it would make sense that it would take time, especially when you're an old soul. It's going to take longer to go along and meet people and clear up your karma so that your life can be yours, fresh and pure. Okay. So yeah, I saw with my third eye open, dude. That was one of the most incredible moments of my life. Because I realized that the responsibility that we have innately, the words that we think, they don't just stay in your mind. They actually leave your mind. They vibrate out and they touch those around you. The vibrational frequency, the essence in which you're holding is affecting everyone around you. So that was really neat to see that. Okay. And then it just kept getting better and better, and not surprisingly, when you meditate, you just get gifted. So another thing I wanted to share is, I studied a lot of Western astrology, and I had this download. This is my personal belief that Western is the cosmic masculine force of the universe, and the Vedic Indian astrology, not Native American Indian, from India astrology, Vedic, is the divine feminine cosmic force of the universe. And these two Gnostic wisdoms are ways for us to balance our right and left hemispheres of our brain, because Western, typically it can get very deep, but it typically seems to be a really good way to understand your purpose in life, the linear arc of what you intended on doing here on the planet. It's really good for, having a healthy sense of your self-worth. That's how I utilized it. That's how I utilize it to work with people. And it gives you a lot of direction and vision. And if you just get behind it and go, okay, like I accept this might be a very helpful tool. It just helps you know the energies that you're working with in your rainbow coat of armor is what I call it. And that's what I help do for people now. I help people put on their rainbow coat of armor. And it's simply just by understanding what you're made of, which is stardust originally, but it condenses into a harder form, into vibrational frequency that matches up to the elementals, which is fire, earth, air, and water. And then they break down into modalities, and they break down into very specific house placements and archetypal energies, which are the planets. You designed all of this before you came to, I'm drinking too much coffee, before you came to Earth, and we forget it all, so that life will be more interesting, okay? I mean, think about it. Like, you ever get this strange feeling like, I'm not dying tomorrow, and then you could take life for granted. But, some people get this feeling like they just gotta do something, like Jimi Hendrix. And he fucking was a blazing fucking star, and then, passed away at 28 or 9 years old, 27. Some people know that they don't have any time to waste. Sorry, I'm digressing now. That's a whole nother topic. But I believe that we know when we're going to be going. So we live life according to that kind of sleep paralysis, you could say, where we forget. So anyway, I digress again. So Western is so important to know for ego development, a healthy sense of yourself, to know the action and direction that maybe your soul wanted to take in this lifetime. But equally so, Vedic is where they're very proud to be the true placements of the planets when at the time of your birth. I can't get into the semantics of the Western and Vedic. My dog is sprawled out with like this right now. It's so cute with her fangled tooth sticking out. But Vedic is very much more complex, much like a woman. And I say complex because the feminine and the masculine is really simple. The feminine is the right brain that integrates feeling. And that's why it's important to know the emotional guidance scale so that you can identify where you are at. Like, are you depressed? Are you angry? Are you fearful? That's where I was in the beginning of my life a lot. And then I would oscillate up to joy, and like I thought I was bipolar. But anyway, you want to understand the emotional guidance scale because it goes up and then it goes down and we're fluctuating. That's what the feminine essence is. And that's what the Vedic wisdom, I believe, tunes into more than the Western. It's argumentative. You can have a good debate about this, I'm sure, and maybe we will in the future. But I really do believe that Vedic astrology, they're really good at giving you like time frames for when certain things are going to play out. And Western does that as well. But I have just always used, anyway, I already went on about that. It's just something I feel deep in my heart, and I want to give pro tip to seekers out there. Don't just find out about your Western chart. Know your Vedic chart as well, okay? And you will be like bossing up to balance your right and left hemispheres of your brain, because we're here to reach union, balance between, the part of you that wants to take action. Like, I'll give you an example. My Western, I'm a Scorpio sun, Aquarius moon, Leo rising. Okay, I take into consideration those energies, and that's not even considering all the other things like Pluto, Saturn, Mars, Neptune. And then in Vedic, I'm also a Scorpio sun. I'm a healer. I've got that locked and loaded. But I have a Capricorn moon and a Cancer rising. Now, Capricorn and Cancer and Aquarius and Leo are totally different energies, but I feel them equally inside of me. So honoring and knowing these two sides, Western and Vedic, has helped me greatly. And I really know that I am doing so well at this point, or I'm starting to do very well because of my awareness of both of these Gnostic wisdoms. Okay. I'm so excited to be getting this off my chest. Can you tell? All right. So one-on-one personal relationships were paramount in my life. I have my moon in the 7th house with nothing aspecting it. And I had one partner that literally changed my life in a span of 1 year. His name is Ben. And I love you, Ben. I'll always love you. He brought me into 10 peyote ceremonies in 1 year. That changed my life forever. And that is some really sacred personal stuff. But I will say that was like facing so much fear. And to be able to learn how to sit with myself and to really feel the residual guilt and shame that I was carrying in my body was paramount. Cleansing was also paramount in my journey. I did the master cleanse quite a lot. That's the lemon cayenne maple syrup. I did that so long one time for 16 days. Short story. I came home on the 16th evening, and something in me, I don't know if it was my dark self or what voice it was, it said, why don't you have some wasabi peanuts? That could have been just about the worst thing that you could ever have when you have not eaten any food for 16 days. So I did that, and I ended up going to sleep and waking up at 3 a.m, dying. I went into the shower and had the cosmic vision I got from this experience was much akin to, I know this is going to sound pretty wild, but the pain was so severe that I felt like Jesus on the cross dying. And I kept having this realization that I was like, it was the feminine crucifixion because it was the opposite, everything polar opposite, okay? I was in the shower alone. Nobody was around watching me. Water was pouring on me instead of the beating sun. And I was dying. Okay, I can't say it any other way. And I will spare you the details of what happened. But my body went through a purging on both ends. And once I finally was able to walk, and I was crying and bawling my eyes out and just in so much pain, when I got out of that, I went and laid in bed, and my dear friend that was a ceremony leader, he luckily was there to sit by me, and something happened to me that was so profound. Some healers and seekers out there might relate to this. I started crying, and that was very good to cry, but it was not a normal kind of cry. It was a kind of cry that once it started, it became like a floodgate that burst open. And what was very interesting to observe was that I was very conscious that the tears were not my own, because I started guttural releasing. It was like a, and it was the most intense release, one of the most intense. I had another one many years later. And I felt like I had cried for, I don't even know, like people that had never been able to cry before in their life. Thousands and thousands of people I cried for. So that was so, so profound. But I'm just saying, like, don't ever do that. I can be good at, like, here's some things you don't want to do. But yeah, cleansing, the peyote medicine really helped me on my healing journey. I'm so grateful that I got to sit in these sacred ways with these most beautiful wisdom keepers and the communities that welcomed me in. It changed my life forever. I could talk forever about how much was given in that experience. It was very difficult to leave that relationship, but I knew that I wasn't, anyway, you just know certain things. So, I had to go on, and I ended up going on, and I went to the desert. So I spent almost a decade in the desert of New Mexico, and during that time, I believe I met my twin flame. Again, almost everything I'm sharing has a whole novel in and of itself. During that time, a dear friend of mine came and offered me some healing. We did an exchange. And he flipped me over, and I was laying on my back after really deep work. And he just simply laid his hand on my belly, and I had a Kundalini awakening. This is what happens when you clear yourself out and you get enough healing and you do enough devotional work inside. I'm saying this to inspire you to go within, because the answers are in, and you get blessed gifts. Kundalini awakening shot up my spine. I had no one to guide me through the other side of that. I nearly fell over when a friend of mine spoke too loudly at me. It was so powerful, but my psychic senses have been vastly expanded because of that. And I'm not bragging in any way. Again, this is to motivate you to understand that this is not woo-woo. It's very, very real. You are an energy system. Your body it's all vibrational frequency. And when we clear it and we purify it, we can rebirth and we can die and be reborn again to a new self. We are snake shedding. And in the year of this horse year of 2026, what a better time to share this, to inspire. I hope and I pray that this inspires people to seek out healers. There are so many that are there. And when you seek, you will find, okay? So I had this Kundalini awakening. It was profound. And then right when I thought I don't even know what I thought. The last part that I'm here to share is that, I learned about the Dakinis, who are the enlightened divine feminine of the universe. It's not just Christ consciousness. There's also the divine feminine wisdom of the universe. And I asked them to bless my life. And when that happened, my partner and I were able to get out of the city for 2020. Not only did we get out of the city, but we were able to find beautiful land that he had set up with his friend, and I manifested a house out of my dreams. Now, it's been said that when you ask the Dakinis, the enlightened feminine of the universe, to be with you sincerely and earnestly, if you ask them to age your life, if you ask them to bless your life and to come be with you, your life will change, and it will change fast. And it did. It did for us. And I manifested a house out of my dreams. But as fate would have it, I had some other events occur, and I needed to leave that house and my partner. And I had to face, I thought I had already had all my awakenings. I thought that I had faced all of my fears. I had faced so many fears, I can't even believe it. I found myself driving into Maine at 7 p.m. and it was pitch dark in October 29th. And I proceeded to have the darkest night of my entire soul, the dark night of the soul. I had to face my greatest fear, which was to face the matrix, to face myself, to break codependent enmeshment, to find my sovereignty and to find my power and to integrate and fuse everything together. I know it sounds like a lot, and it is, but it's actually really, really simple when you start to get with the program and you start to digest it. You know, you can't, you're never given more than you can handle. You only have one right brain and one left brain, thank God. You have one father, one mother to digest, and then some other aspects, of course. But yeah, like, it has been the most profound since the last video I made, part 1 of the hero's journey, the last most profound integration. I am a dancer, and at this point in time, I've elevated my offering with dancing so much that I don't think people even see my body anymore. They're feeling my energy. And it's a great honor to uplift people's spirits. You know, so many people are lonely and they want to hug. You know, before I danced, I was only doing healing work. I was holding space on a really deep level for people. And it wasn't encapsulating the entirety of my creative soul. You know, we are multidimensional. And all of the things I have learned, I apply on my massage table when I do my healing work. And I apply when I go out dancing and I'm performing on a stage. I had to go through all these ceremonies to have the courage to stand in front of people, really, truly in my heart. And that's what I learned back in Yandara, was how to have a heart-opening experience, transcendental heart-opening awakening experience. So when you go and you seek for healers, I'm telling you guys, it will change your life forever. And now I find myself very grateful. I'm only in the very beautiful flower budding opening, lily pad opening experience. I'm 43 now, and life is just getting better and better every single day. I'm very grateful to, you know, not be looking for love outside of myself. I feel it deeply within. I love who I am. I love who I'm becoming, and I am still becoming. I do healing work and I dance, and there's so much more to each one of us, you know. We have, you know, like, you know, we want to have a home, and we want to, you know, I want to do interior design, and, you know, the main thing is to have a peaceful spirit and a balanced psychology, and to know that you can actually heal your mind, your body, and your spirit. You really can come into union with your soul. And I'm trying to think of any last thing I want to say. I have 4 minutes left, so I'm going to just ground down for a minute. Let's see. Yeah, I do like impromptu as astrology readings. I'm very specific about the kind of readings I do. I focus on putting your rainbow coat of armor on. I want you to understand and believe in yourself greatly. Like, you have to believe in yourself. And the biggest irony is that you cannot be authentic to the world unless you're honest with yourself first. So it requires you to be selfish enough to care about what you're really feeling. That means if you're angry, you got to let that rage out. If you are sad, you have to sit through the sorrow. Meditation helps you do all of that. Please get the book, The Presence Process by Michael Brown. It's a game changer. Also, another game changer is my girlfriend Angela also introduced me to this book. It's called The Effortless Prosperity Process by Bijan. This is when you've done the presence process enough and you need to take a break. It gives you a mantra for every single day of the month. Tomorrow I get to say, my life is full of miracles all day long. Yay. I'm really excited. And, it's like not all about just about the service and what you can do for others. A lot of my life is simply like just starting to save money and take care of my animals and be there for my family. And I couldn't be more proud of the fusion that I've gone through in the last 2 years since coming to Maine. I have focused deeply on sitting with myself without the interference of a boyfriend, a partner with me, and I have fully grabbed hold of my little inner girl. I know how she feels about everything now. There's not really any separation. She trusts me. I'm not making mistakes that I had made, and the patterns that we continue until we get really aware. That's the thing. We just got to shine the light on strong enough and long enough to open the aperture to where it's no longer something that you're forgetting or you're not seeing clearly, and forgiveness and compassion. And one of the last things I want to say is there is no time for guilt, shame, or fear. They exist, they're real, they will affect and change your life forever, but that is not the way. The way is trust, faith, and love. You have to have faith in your own unfolding journey, and I still have faith that whatever person I'm meant to be with will always be there no matter what. Otherwise, I am just fine with myself. I couldn't be happier to be alone right now because I'm not alone. We're all connected. And I have my beloved dog Sati and my 20-year-old cat Mimi and my beloved friends and family. And I could cry how grateful I am and how long it took to find this balance, but it does come. Aloha, Espavo. Thank you for hearing part 2 of my hero's journey. Espavo. Thank you for taking your power back.